How's it going, everyone? Supremisis here, and in today's video I'm going to be discussing the good and the bad about Recon Wildlands that I've experienced so far. This is just my experiences, this isn't anyone else's. I've had no other opinions on anything else about what I've wrote down and what I'm about to discuss with you guys. So if you guys have your own opinions about things, that's fine, you guys can share that in the comments down below. But this is literally my opinion, and my opinion only, on what I feel is the good and the bad. The first thing we're actually going to be talking about is the combat, and I'm going to be starting off with good, and then I'm going to be ending it with the bad, just so, you know, just to keep that flow between you guys so you guys know what's going on. Now, the thing about the combat is that it's fun. You can go about any mission however you want. You can use whatever you want for every single mission, and you can take out whoever you want in every single mission. Now, what I mean by that is that when you go ahead and attack a Unidad base or one of the cartel members' bases or something like that, you can literally go in and freely take out whoever you want and whenever you want. Now, that is fun when you need to take out specific people first to get into a specific area to get the vehicle to go through the gate. Now, that gives the player a lot of freedom within playing missions and things like that, in my opinion. Now, the another thing about the combat too is that you feel as if you control the battlefield, and when you come into the mission, you can do exactly whatever you want when you want to do it. The enemies are very unpredictable. That's also very good, especially when you're replaying missions. The enemies go on different paths every single time. It's not the same story for every single player, and that's good for every single time you try. Every single time you try that mission and things like that. So yeah, that's actually really good. Another thing is when the enemies spot you when it's necessary to spot you. For example, when you're running in the open, in the middle of the light and stuff like that, because you know you're supposed to actually be spotted at the best of times like that. And speaking of spotting, it's actually very good, especially if you're going to run into a bush. In most games, usually if you run into a bush, they're still going to see you, but in Ghost Recon Wildlands, you can almost literally hide into a bush. I've done this plenty of times where I've needed to hide. I've had no cover, so I quickly run into a bush and lay prone. And yeah, that's the good for the combat in my opinion so far. Now, moving on to the bad side of the combat. The bad things about the combat, it feels like the only enemy type that can actually kill you are the heavies, unless the small packs of normal assault enemies try and kill you. Like, there has to be about 4 or 5 of them at one time trying to pin you down in a certain location. Now, coming across one heavy is honestly such a nightmare. You get absolutely melted. Now, sitting there and not taking out the heavies before you take out the normal normal enemies, I'm just going to call them, you really do just lose you lose the momentum of the gunfight and everything. As soon as you're pinned down by a heavy, you really can't do anything, especially when there's 2 heavies running around together or something like that. Every time you're trying to take out a mission, in trying to take it out with a little bit of stealth, as soon as one enemy detects you, they apparently all know exactly where you are, when one enemy hasn't even shot a single bullet, but they know exactly where you are. Even if they do shoot a bullet, they really just all come to that one location. Even if you move away from that, they still know exactly where you are. Even if you're trying to hide, it takes a good 10 to 15 seconds before you're out of their range until you're at least hunted again. Now, I've had plenty of times where I've lost because of this, and it isn't fun. Moving on to another thing is the AR teammates. They are, don't get me wrong, they are good. They can be good, especially when you go down. They simply take out literally everyone in the area around you, so it gives you time to get up. But they're at the best of points where you need them to do something. When you're playing single player, they don't do anything. Literally, the missions are basically up to you and everything you do. Now, I feel as if they're going to be AI, obviously you can upgrade them with the skill tree and etc. and stuff like that. Now, that comes in handy at the best of points for when you're getting into higher leagues and harder missions. But yeah, that it just feels like you control everything and that's it. Another thing too is stealth missions. Don't get me wrong, it's better to take out missions at night time, but there's really no use towards using night vision at night. The reason why I say this is because there's been plenty of times where I've got into a base and I've taken out a generator and the lights are all off and they all don't know what's going on. I throw on my night vision thinking I'm all safe in this dark corner. One guy passes by me, all of a sudden he knows where I am, and then I die. Now, speaking of this, it really isn't fun putting on night vision. There really isn't no use to it. I feel as if either the map needs to be darker, otherwise the enemies, the lighting when you take out a generator, the light needs to be almost literally needs to make you invisible, because usually at night time, if you're going to have to require night vision, you obviously want to be completely in the dark. I really kind of want it to be like Splinter Cell, where if you're hiding in the shadows, you're pretty much unseen. Now moving on to the driving. The driving, it feels normal. Flying helicopters make you feel like you're actually trying to control it rather than you literally just fly a helicopter. That feels very great, especially when you feel as if the wind is coming in and you need to fight against the wind to try and fly in a certain direction. Doing simple things just like doing a burnout around a corner feels great. It feels like you're not in control of it because obviously you aren't in a real vehicle. That feels awesome to do. But moving on to the bad things about the driving, the vehicle destruction is terrible. They've tried to fix it ever since the open beta, you can see that, but they haven't mastered it yet. You can tell this by literally hitting just a small rock just in front of the just at the front of your vehicle. It doesn't leave like, you know, a dent like it would in GTA 5, for example. It literally destroys the whole front of that entire car, and if anything, it makes it start to smoke. It smashes the front windscreen, everything. So I feel as if the vehicle destruction needs to be fixed. Speaking of flying before as well, speaking of it right now, when there's an incoming missile, when you're in the midair and you're trying to avoid it, and obviously you got spotted by it and then it's coming your way, you really can't feel as if you can dodge it. Sometimes you do get lucky and you get out of the way of it, but there's been plenty of times where I just couldn't. It wouldn't let me. I've tried to turn to the right so the missile comes around the helicopter and it doesn't hit me, but I wasn't able to do that. Now I feel as if they either need to buff up the controlling of the helicopter just a tiny bit, because it's already as good as it is right now, but I feel as if you just can't dodge missiles or anything like that. Riding motorbikes, hitting a rock or something like that, you go absolutely flying, when I would have thought that I could have gone up that rock because of the angle that it's on, but I just couldn't. I think they need to fix a little bit of that too. One big issue that I've found, especially when I'm trying to run and gun or absolutely destroy a base, is the sensitivity when driving tanks. Now, trying to go full speed into a base and trying to keep the tank straight, having four wheels on each side, which is 8 obviously. Coming into a base, it's really uncontrollable. I crash into literally everything, otherwise I have to go 5 miles per hour to just get into the base when I wanted to literally go in as fast as I can. Turning around corners in a tank is really difficult because you just lose control of it, otherwise you turn too early or you turn too late, trying to control that sensitivity. Now, moving on to open world exploration, this is the good things. You have freedom to do whatever you want. You can fly anywhere you want. You can literally go to anything you see and go to those places. Little things like the enemies in certain areas and stuff like that, etc. feel really good, and they feel as if like all the little things in the open world are really done well. The bad things about the open world exploration is that trying to climb certain rocks or certain objects, you literally can't. Now, in a lot of games like GTA, this comes into this you can really see this, especially being a Grand Theft Auto 5 player and then jumping onto Recon Wildlands thinking that I can climb just a simple rock, and I couldn't. Now, this kind of has screwed me in a lot of times where I've needed to get to a certain objective or away from certain people, and I literally couldn't climb up a 2-foot rock. Or maybe not a 2-foot rock, I'd say about a 5-foot rock, and I just couldn't get over it because it wouldn't let me. It's as if my character couldn't even jump up a certain rock to grab a hold of it and pull himself up. there's a lot of areas within the open world where there aren't any enemies around to take out or kill, just for little simple stuff, just for some XP or something. I really feel as if they need to start just dropping enemies in certain other places. I feel as if there's not enough in specific places. Now, speaking of which, I haven't reached the end game yet in Ghost Recon Wildlands, but I don't think there's actually going to be a lot of end game stuff within the open world for single player, as there usually isn't if you've reached the end of the game and you have done everything, so that's kind of normal. But I feel as if the PvP needs to really be perfected, and they need to give you either new skins, new weapons, new guns, and things like that, especially if it's going to be class based, so everyone can get it. But yeah, talking about the missions, the missions feel great. They're very tied in. They're very well done. It's fun to play and repeat missions, getting the same XP rewards, so you can help your friends, and it helps you motivate. It basically motivates you to help your friends. It's not like the Division where there's literally no point in you going back and doing it unless you want a specific weapon. The only bad thing I don't like about the missions are only done in two ways: stealth or however you want. I want to feel as if there is an objective that I need to actually obtain. I want to feel as if that, you know, I'm not just running into a base, killing a couple guys, getting the lieutenant or whatever, interrogating him, and then I'm done. I want to feel as if I need to go in there for a specific reason, because these guys are going to do horrible things to this type of people, or the Qatari, or whatever it may be. I feel as if they need more meaning in missions. Like, don't get me wrong, you can actually get that feeling if you do watch the documents, but sometimes people really don't have the time for that, and they just want to start playing missions so they can level up. Maybe they're a little bit behind or something. But yeah, I feel as if they should do that. But this actually brings me to the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys did enjoy and want to see more videos like this, please don't forget to check out my latest video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.